Okay. Let this thing load. It's loaded, I think. All right, there we go. Okay, give me a sec, guys. I'm gonna send it here. Bada bing and bada boom. Okay. Of course, let me know if you guys can hear me loud and clear, and then we will go ahead and begin. I only have, a little bit of time just because I got a pack still, and then my flight's tomorrow morning. But let me know, of course, if you guys can hear me loud and clear, and then we'll go ahead and begin. I just want to analyze Bitcoin and mostly Ethereum, but I will touch base on a lot of altcoins. All right, perfect. Thanks, Robert. All right, so as you guys can see on Bitcoin, we ended up losing a crucial support here at 110.8. Now, just going back on previous price analysis, we haven't really traded much in terms of Telegram or any trades on Bitcoin itself specifically. And because of the fact that, we did have a very nice rally, you can see here last week on Friday, beautiful rally, a ton of us made a lot of money, but then we've pretty much just been in this weird downturn point, right? And then you can see over the weekend, we did see a very nice drop formation. Now, again, news and a Bitcoin whale sold and blah, blah, blah. Cool. Market ended up bouncing from that. And this is where trouble happened for a lot of people. A lot of folks started to enter long positions without any sort of confirmations. Now, again, I've told you guys this many times, is when the EMAs are trading like this, mostly when they're this much sell pressure and you start seeing them violently go down, you are not looking for long positions here. Instead, you are either sitting on your hands or you're looking for shorts. Me personally, I don't like shorting in a bull market. That's why I haven't really sent shorts, but there are shorts available, right? And that's why I send you guys the charts regardless. For those of you that still want to short, it gives you an idea of perspective. Now, you can see pretty much what happened today was the market did end up bouncing into the EMA, strong rejection, and this is the point of the education where I wanted to come in from. If you pay attention to 110.8, right now it looks horrendous, right? But this is something I've talked about many times before. You can start to realize that the market actually is going to drop ahead of time. And what I mean by that is if you see the market see this capitulation over on Sunday, right? So that was a big drop. Market bounced, and then look what happened again. Earlier in Asia hours, we bounced again, hit the same level, 110.8, bounce. But why would the market drop 3 times in the same zone? What does that tell you? When you're looking at it from a leverage perspective, that tells you that bulls are in control. Or sorry, bears. That tells you bears are in control in terms of volume, right? And what I mean by that is if the bulls can't break above the EMAs 3 times, well, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? There isn't enough bull pressure coming into the market. The bears are taking over control. And I told you guys this when I was driving around 110.6. I said, look, the main level of interest for us is going to be 108.8. And you can see we're in a free fall situation right now. This isn't something that's rocket science, right? Because just looking from previous price analysis, the same way when Bitcoin blew up from 108.8 all the way up into 111, everyone was happy, right? Bull market, yada, yada, yada. And the same way it goes down. And I've told you guys this many times. When you have this much of a gap between the support and resistance, it's a free fall situation. Just like on the way up, it's a massive squeeze position. And right now, Bitcoin is in this free fall, and that's the level of interest for me at 108.8. But again, just going back to the education side of things, this should not come to a surprise to anyone. When you're trading in terms of a support and you start seeing the same level tested over and over and no bullish pressure, then it's time to look for shorting opportunities or, of course, sit on your hands and wait. So now, in terms of Ethereum, right? I told you guys this as well in the Telegram. Ethereum is still in an uptrend. What bothers me, mostly from someone that's been doing this for a very long time, is that, every time Ethereum sees a correction, my DMs blow up. Oh my God, Pingu, I'm in this, I'm in that. Okay, seriously. If you didn't end up taking any profits after we broke all-time high. And I gave you guys that trade as well on all-time high. If you're someone that, swinging Ethereum, whatever, and you took no profits up here, it makes absolutely no sense for you to now be like, okay, well, what do I do now, right? But realistically, you missed your chance. And now looking at Ethereum on the daily time frame, it's still above the exponential moving averages. So it's not the end of the world. And I've told you guys this many times. The same way we saw the break structure here on Ethereum, right in between the EMAs, everyone started panicking. I think this is the bear market, Pingu. I think we're going down. And then the next candle was like literally a $600 candle. So that's why I tell you guys, look, as long as it's above the exponential moving averages on the daily time frame, there's absolutely no reason to panic. If we look at it from this perspective in terms of a corrective move, there's a few things from a bearish side that I'll explain, so it'll give you guys a better understanding of what could happen. Again, could. It doesn't mean that it will. It's just you have to be prepared for both situations. So right now, if I'm looking at it from a naked eye, there's a few things that bother me. Number one, of course, RSI extremely overbought. But again, we don't trade just off one indicator. The issue is the fact that we actually saw a very strong rejection here at 48.65. If we look at it from a weekly, a lot of people are saying double top. But again, it's too early to get that confirmation of a double top on Ethereum, in my humble opinion. But you can see that as long as, of course, we are above the EMAs, we're good. If, of course, we end up breaking below the exponential moving averages, we have an M formation. And with M formations, mostly on a daily time frame, they are not fun. And what I mean by that is if, of course, the M, so think of the letter M, if the middle part of the M is taken out, so right here, if this middle part is taken out, it ends up being a massive liquidation fest. And what I mean by that is it's pretty much a straight move towards the downside. And the next support would be around the $3,600 to $3,500 range. Right now, we're at 4,300. There's still a lot of room for Ethereum here. We can easily bounce here. We can easily see a fake out situation here. The level of interest that everyone should be watching, though, on the daily time frame is 40.28. Now, that might ring a bell for some of you, but 40.28 was, of course, a major resistance. And I told you guys this many times before. It was such a large resistance that we simply couldn't break above it. You guys remember from the previous run-up back in March of 2024, this is a level structure that bulls could not break above, 40.28. You can see multiple tests here on the 4-hour time frame. And then if we go back here, you can see again, 3 more test opportunities right here at 40.28. And then, of course, if I zoom back out again, you can see once we broke above 40.28, then we had the Ethereum all-time high. There's certain levels that have to be met in order for us to see a new all-time high. And I've taught you guys that many times. Now, of course, if the level structure of 40.28 is broken, this is where the danger comes from. 40.28 was a major resistance. It should act as a major support, because if it does not act as a major support, then this is the most likely scenario for Ethereum. The bottom of the move set would be right here at $3,300 Ethereum. So around the 3,400 if you want to say 3,393. I don't care, whatever you want, but that's pretty much what the M formation looks like. Now, again, this does not mean I'm starting to create panic for anyone. This does not mean that, oh my God, bingo, we're going to close our spot positions. Oh my God. Okay, look, realistically, if you're in spot positions, this is just a buying opportunity in my eyes. But if for those of you that are on leverage or looking for leverage opportunities or where exactly you should enter, the main concern is, of course, number one, never enter a falling knife. What I mean by that is if the market is in a corrective state like this, you don't want to be that person that enters a long position here. Market does a drop. Now, of course, you're in the risk of 40.28. If 40.28 ends up being broken, you are joining the other sheep in terms of liquidation, right? You don't want to be that person. Instead, the person you want to be is, number one, just have an alert somewhere down here for 40.28, right? Have that alert, wait for that alert to happen. And again, don't look at the chart. If it makes you panic, then don't bother looking at the chart. See how the daily candle closes today. And that's going to be my main concern for tonight, well, in the next few hours. But I want to see whether or not the bulls can actually hold above this level right here at 43.26. In Telegram, I literally texted you guys that. I'm like, hey, we're not looking for longs unless 43.26 is tested. That level was tested to the exact dollar. You can see exact dollar. So as of right now, we're simply just going to wait and sit on our hands and see whether or not the bulls can end up holding above the EMAs. Because if they do, and we do end up seeing another rally above the EMAs retested support, we are looking at a 5K Ethereum within the next few weeks. But of course, the main concern from a bearish perspective, which I will tell you again, is this right here, 40.28. Everything else is just noise. But what we don't want to happen is 40.28 to break, because if that happens, then we are looking for a massive cascade. If the bulls just end up chopping around this way, then in my opinion, it's just a fake out, and I would be looking forward to more long positions above the $4,600 region to a new all-time high. But everything else right now, of course, is going to be in a downturn market, right? You can see, even on Doge, I said, look, 0.205 is going to be tested. This is the third test in terms of wicks. Surprise, surprise. It was to the exact dollar. Now you see bullish pressure coming up into the market. These are things that you get over time. There's not going to be like right away where you look at a naked chart like this and you can just spot it. These are obviously experience, but that's why I give you guys the levels. I give you guys the levels from both a bullish and bearish confirmation. And I say, hey, if this level breaks, then this happens. If this level holds, then just wait. And that's why I think the problem for a lot of folks is the waiting part. If I'm not sending a trade, or if I'm not replying, or if I'm not posting a chart, it doesn't mean that it's a free-for-all and everyone start entering trades, mostly on a downward trend. There's reasons why I don't enter trades in terms of a downward trend. Because, for example, let's say on Doge, I said, hey guys, we're looking for a long position on Doge here at 0.218 because I think it's a good support zone. Now support gets broken. Now the liquidation fest happens and everyone gets liquidated here. That's what I don't want to happen, right? So that's why instead I just let the market drop and I say, hey guys, this major support's looking to get tested. That would be an ideal range if we're looking for any sort of bounce possibilities, but we're still waiting for the EMAs. And by doing that, it gives everyone the perspective, okay, worst case scenario, this is the level that's going to be tested. Best case scenario, that level gets tested, we break back above, and now all of us can take those long positions with some serious volume because we know that the market has already done its worst case scenario. If we zoom out on Doge, guys, I mean, I've been saying this for a very long time. There's nothing here for me to be like, okay, guys, we're in the bear market, we're in the bull market, at least for Doge's perspective. Like, it's just a huge, giant consolidation zone, right? Like, everyone can see, even if I were to remove the lines here, everyone can notice that it's still a giant consolidation zone, and there's absolutely nothing happening on Doge. The levels of interest for altcoins, and I've talked about this before too, the levels of interest for altcoins is gonna be when Ethereum sees that mega candle past all-time high. Then we're gonna start seeing, and you guys saw it recently, was Cardano, XRP, Doge, Solana, everything started rallying, right? Like everything, as soon as Ethereum hit near all-time high, we saw some mega candles on everything across the board. And those are the opportunities where a lot of you guys are gonna make a lot of money. But for now, we're not in that situation yet. There's no reason for you guys to be jumping ahead of trades when everything is sitting on a major support. And again, it brings me to random charts like this. This is how I know when the market's in desperation. When I open up a Shiba chart, and you guys know I don't even talk about Shiba, but it's been a long time since I analyzed Shiba. But look, I literally opened the chart and I still have my line drawn from back a few years ago. I don't change my lines. And you can see that Shiba's sitting on a major support. When I'm going through my charts and I'm like, okay, so there's major supports happening. And again, look, XRP, right? There's major supports across the board. Cardano, 84 cents, major support. When that many major supports are being tested, I know that the market is going to either see a huge squeeze or we are expecting a massive capitulation if these levels are broken. Oh yeah, Pingu, up or down, I get it. Well, no, right? Because again, if you're looking at it from Bitcoin's perspective, that's the number one thing you're watching right now. Altcoins obviously will follow Bitcoin. If Bitcoin loses the 108.8 region, guess what, guys? This little yellow line right here is a weekly support. If this level is lost, then what do you think is going to happen to Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, Dogecoin? All of those coins are going to end up losing their major supports as well. Would I be the idiot that's going to be like, I'm going to long Bitcoin right here? No, right? Because again, we know that this level is going to be tested. That does not mean you're looking for a long position as soon as that level is tested. You are much better as a momentum trader. And I've talked about this many times. A momentum trader is someone that enters with the trend heading into support or heading into resistance. What that means is if the market's in a downturn and you know that level is going to be tested, then of course you're only looking for that level to be tested in terms of momentum and you're out of the trade. If the level breaks, awesome, right? Cool. You can ride for more profits, but you're guaranteed that level in terms of support. So you are not looking for the opposite direction. Do you understand? Okay. I hope that makes sense for everyone. So once again, the main levels for today are 108.8 for Bitcoin. In terms of Ethereum on the daily time frame, it's going to be the 20 exponential moving average, the 43.26. So I hope that makes sense, right? This is going to be exactly on the daily time frame, 43.26. If that level is lost, please don't spam me. I am watching. Again, the candle has to close first. Just because it ends up breaking does not mean it's over. Does that make sense? We have to close first, and then, of course, we can start paying attention to what's going to happen next. What about the CME gap? Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I never in my however many years have ever traded gaps. Because in terms of gaps, they were great for stock markets. But in terms of crypto, CME gaps and whatever, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but the problem is the more you think about, and again, seriously think about this, the more you think in terms of macro or CME gaps or whatever, the worse your analysis will be. And what I mean by that is it gets very shady in terms of you as a trader, for example. If you're saying, okay, guys, this is a major support, and then all of a sudden in your head, you're like, yeah, but like the CME gap's at 91K. So what happens if that plays out, right? And that immediately your analysis goes out the window because now you're going to be in the bias that, hey, the CME gap is supposed to play out. So I'm not going to look for any positions until the CME gap plays out. Then you see the market see a massive rally, and then I know that when the minute people start panicking and saying, Pingu, why is the market going up? What's going on? That's when I know that people obviously got caught out on the sidelines and now they don't know what to do. That's why, in my opinion, again, CME gaps are great for the average retailer trader, but not for people that are actually trying to take this serious. You can have it in your head that there's a CME gap, sure. But at the end of the day, we're at 110K Bitcoin. We're talking about what, a $20,000 drop. Like in my humble opinion, I don't see Bitcoin dropping $20,000 anytime within the next day or so, right? So if it's a slow bleed opportunity, awesome. But then if it is a slow bleed opportunity, then there's a lot of trades in between here that you can take and make money on too. So I hope that makes sense for everyone. Dogecoin's cooked. Yeah, I'll upload Doge before I do head out for the airport. I will upload Doge. That is on my to-do list for tonight. And then I'm pretty much going to fly early tomorrow morning, and I'll be in New York after that. So I'll be busy. But I will do my best here, of course, to keep you guys posted, because I know during these kind of times, a lot of panic, a lot of what should I do, what should I this. And again, for those of you that are swinging, it doesn't really make too much sense to be closing swing positions. Again, if you entered really high, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're just laddering in your positions here, we're on major supports across the board. 108.8 is like right there. I think we hit 109.2, so it's about $400 off. But again, I think the worst is over in terms of today's dump. But if there is a black swan event or anything crazy or anything like that, then you have the levels ahead of you. 108.8, if that level is broken, we're looking at the bottom of around 105. That would be the bottom worst case scenario. And I know some of you guys are thinking, why not 107.73? Because it's already been tested. If I already see multiple test opportunities, then it's not an interesting point for me. But in my opinion, like I said, I do think that everyone should just wait for the daily time frame. Because if Ethereum does end up closing above the 20 EMA, then we do have some good signs in terms of a possible fake out. And of course, we can start looking for possible long positions on the 4-hour time frame if we can get back above 46.39. Because then, let me just give you a quick little perspective before everyone hops off, okay? Let me just give you a little perspective here. So if I'm looking at it from this level and I'm saying, okay, oh my God, it's over at 43, whatever. If the market does end up seeing any sort of recovery, right? It could be anything. I don't care what it is. Trump says whatever, the market, whatever. If the market does end up bouncing back above into the 46.39 or the exponential moving averages, here's the reality. The reality is that Ethereum has now tested 48.65 twice, which is all-time high. That would be the third test opportunity. And you guys already know on third test opportunities, we tend to see a massive breakout. Now you fuel that with all-time high, with the third test, with the fact that this was a weekly resistance, with the fact that all of these folks right here have entered their short positions. It's going to be a recipe for a massive squeeze. And that's why I'm telling you guys, wait until the daily confirmation is done and then base your decisions. Because if the market bounces after it hits the 20 EMA, then this simply was a corrective move and we're looking for new highs on Ethereum. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that answers for whatever. Again, for those of you that are joining or new to my channel, it is absolutely free. I will go ahead and link it in Telegram. In terms of the exchange we use Blowfin. I've talked about this many times for those of you that are watching too. Guys, seriously, like, I highly recommend switching to Blowfin. The rewards for USDT, which I think are going to be paid out in 5 days. Every month they get paid out, but in 5 days, like it's fat. Like it's absolutely absurd how much money people are making just from trading, right? So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got though. I hope you guys have a safe week. I will, of course, do my best to keep everyone updated as much as I can. Obviously, if I'm flying and I don't have service, then it is what it is. But I will try my best at the airport to update the charts before I fly in case something major happens. Everyone isn't blindly trading, and I'll do my best to give as much details as I can in terms of daily and weekly levels. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by. And as usual, I only keep these around 15 to 20 minutes max, just so everyone gets the most out of it when they're watching it. They are recorded, so if you do need to go back, you can go back. And yeah, all right. Peace out. That's all I got. Omkar, I'll do you a favor. I'll update Pengu in the chat because I've been meaning to update it. So I'll just do it in Telegram for you. So yeah. Okay. Peace out, guys.